Imagine a world where all people were given a right to oppose everything without or to support everything, every argument freely without any given boundaries. So this house believes that political dynasties brings more harm than good to democracy. Notice how the proposition is too generalizing in its definition of political dynasty. While it is true that political dynasty allows the family to hold major positions within the parliament, it doesn't always mean that it evokes potential abuse of power. We would rather define it as a move to secure the nation from from the possibility of a hostile a political ideology, which is why the examples that the proposition side of the house brought before is false, because we believe that the example that the proposition brought is just an example of a few unscrupulous individuals who happens to adhere to this ideology. So let's take, for example, there exists before a leader called Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi, he cultivated a system where his family and loyalists held a grasp of power in their hands in the system of the government, and then but you can see how that really turns out later on in his government in his nation, right? He brings prosperity to the nation. He brings a significant development of housing and healthcare to Libya, and he also strengthen its economy by having those all of those people, all of those followers in his system, right? Now, before ultimately being intervened by the US due to some external factors, veiled by the propagandas and the allegation made to overthrow him, because realistically he's very powerful at that time, and he and his government was becoming a superpower beyond within the world. So it becomes a threat to the people of the US, or and many people. Therefore, it proves that the premises made by the proposition side of the house is untrue and possibly misleading. And then we've heard that before that the loyal followers may initiate bias that leads to a significant destruction, ultimately to the country and the democracy itself. However, especially regarding the loyalists, right? The proposition didn't really delve into the definition and the probable situation that might happen if the followers were following or were not following the government and the political dynasty. The idea of loyalist is that it comes from their trust toward their leader. If they were to dislike the dynasty, then that exists within the system, they would choose to oppose it instead, right? But it goes the other way. It goes the other way around, which they become a loyalist to the political administration. If they really were distressed by the existence of the dynasty, they can choose to oppose it and form some kind of coalition to change the system, to change the dynasty itself. But they don't, right? So it is really an example that political dynasty works just well, and it doesn't undermine the ideology of democracy. Now, as for my argument, a political administration consists of a structure that needs a participation of so many people to make a policy and to rule a nation, right? And it carries the risk of a divided ideology, and it would lead into a conflict and destruction of a government if left alone. While, on the other hand, a nation is supposed to be united. It needs people to positively accept a government's policy if it's good for the well-being of the people and the sustainability of the nation. However, the status quo has a different reality where politician that steps up might be corrupt in this basis of democracy, which is where political dynasty exists at the first place, which is political dynasty exists to align the ideology within the structure of the government, which is to achieve some kind of harmony within the government, so that there would be an opposition, but the dynasty that rules the administration would would lead the government. Would lead the government. So that so it's them who decide, not the whole administration, not the whole people that's in the administration who is deciding whether they should choose on a policy or not. So ultimately, it will put a harmony, it will put a success within the system of the country, of the nation itself. Now, however, we notice that it carries a risk of exploitation. It carries a risk of negative impact, right? This is where the people actually comes in within the system of democracy, which is to agree on to agree on a policy where the chosen dynasty has to be an educated people. So all policies by the dynasty is going to based on logic and also reason to avoid scam by demagoguery and mindful actions towards the action. And we really need this kind of mechanism because, well, of course, the proposition said before that it carries a lot of risk, and and sometimes when they become, when there is a when there exists a dynasty within an administration system of politics, there exists dictatorship where it oppresses people, where it rules people badly, right? This is where the mechanism comes in, which is to help us keep a boundaries between what the political dynasty itself, because as I said before, as we the opposition said before, that it exists to put a harmony, so there the government doesn't collapse because of the conflict within the system of the government that has a lot of people within the structure, within the government itself. So all in all, we believe that there needs to be a spear, a spear that oversees all legal draftings, all legal proceedings within the system of the government itself, and that the people or the followers should be a supporting aspect of the government. Therefore, there will exist a government system with harmony that, of course, ruled or lead by the political dynasties itself, which is why we, as an opposition, are proud to oppose this motion. Thank you very much.